Good evening, my name is Austin Tarter, and I'd like to take a moment of your time to talk to you about homeless veterans and how we can keep them off the streets. Alright, for starters, I'd like to paint a picture for you and have you imagine yourself that you're not in this room right now. Imagine yourself outside, and you're not going outside to go to the store or take your dog for a walk. You're outside because you're homeless and you can't afford food. You can't afford a place to live. You can't afford a vehicle. You don't have a job, and you've just gotten out of the military. So I'd like to talk to you about these main points that are big causes why veterans are homeless. So I'd like to talk to you about the trauma that they experience while they're in the military. I'd also like to talk to you about their unemployment and why they can't find jobs. And the main cause, which I think is the main cause, is the Veterans Administrative Office. So for starters, I'd like to talk to you about the trauma that's experienced in veterans. One of the main traumas that veterans experience overseas while deployment, fighting wars, is PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, or what used to be referred to, some of the older homeless veterans that you see, they're experienced shell shock somewhere around World War II era. So these problems cause a lot of social anxiety, problems relating and talking with people, causes people to keep to themselves, also causes problems where they abuse substances like alcohol or medications that they're prescribed to from the Department of Veterans Affairs. Lots of veterans abuse this, and it causes a lot of problems in their life, and they can't hold a job and they end up homeless. The next topic I'd like to talk to you all about is the unemployment rates and why there's so many homeless veterans out there. So one of the main reasons is that I just talked about was PTSD or disabilities from prior injuries that they've acquired while serving in the military. So some of these injuries include missing limbs, or people just can't get up and go to work, or they can't stand on their feet for 12 hours, or maybe they're missing arms and they can't type them on a computer. A lot of day-to-day tasks or jobs that they just can't do those jobs. Another reason is the skill transfer. So a lot of the skills that you learn while you're in the military, you could learn all these skills over 30 years of time serving in the military, but none of them transfer to civilian jobs. So when you're going to apply for interviews, they ask you what's on your resume, and you have combat deployments, and you have I've been responsible for this many tanks or whatever. There's no civilian job that relates to that. So basically 30 years of skills is down the drain. And that causes a lot of people not to find jobs, and another reason why there's homeless veterans. The last but not least, I'd like to get down into the Departments of Veterans Affairs, or the Veterans Administrative Office. Their job is basically to help veterans after the military, provide health care for their families, or provide them ways to get jobs and things like that. But there's a lot of mistranslation with that when you're getting out of the military. I personally know a Marine that I served with. He wasn't getting paid due to administrative errors. He was going to work every day, and then he just stopped getting paid. People that we lived with in the barracks scrounged up extra money that they had just so he could pay his bills and keep himself afloat. And that happened while he was still in the military. And he was never compensated for that. Another thing is that the Departments of Veterans Affairs lacks on is they don't give you time to file this paperwork. And when you're in the Marine Corps or any other branch, you could be out in the field doing training all the way up until the day you get out of the military. And when you're doing field training, you're you're at work. You're not filling out paperwork. You're not preparing yourself to get out and have a job whenever you get out. You just, the day that your day comes, you follow your paperwork and you leave. There's no pamphlet or anything that tells you how to fill out the paperwork for the to file your benefits once you get out of the military. So with this, like, it could be really strenuous. It's a lot of paperwork. It's very detail oriented, and a lot of people in the military just don't have the knowledge or correct knowledge or help on how to fill out the paperwork and receive their benefits. But upon completing those that paperwork and to receive their benefits, it could take weeks, months, could take years in some cases, depending on what they're trying to claim or what type of disability they have, whether it's mental or physical. And that leads to a lot of financial issues when getting out, and leads to a lot of veterans being homeless. But in concluding to all this, I would just like to say that there's lots of ways that we can do to help. So there's a solution to this problem. You can donate your time. You can go to homeless shelters and teach different veterans or anybody that's homeless on how to complete resumes, or maybe help them find jobs, give them rides, give them food, water, which they mainly need food and water. But there's also other organizations such as the Wounded Warriors Program and the Cars for Purple Heart Cars. It's an organization that helps veterans get cars that don't have cars to get to jobs and things like that. The Wounded Warriors Project, I'd like to go back to that. They take lots of donations, and sometimes they have donations that are such a big abundance that they can afford to help people build houses, for disabled veterans and things like that. So we just need everybody's help in order to make this work. And I'd like to thank you for your time, and just never leave a soldier behind.